It's crazy how we never really question the ethics of having children, especially considering the fact that having children is not really a choice. This is what a lot of people do not realize. Having children isn't really a choice. Is it people do not choose to have children. People choose not to have children. People do not reach a point in their lives where they ask themselves, should I bring a sentient being into this world? Is this world good enough for me to bring another sentient being into it? People don't ask themselves that question. And it's a really important question, considering what is going on in this world, considering the challenges that people get to face, considering the fact that we pay to live in this world. If you don't work, nobody gonna help you. If you do not have money, people are not gonna treat you right. There are so many things to consider, the diseases that people get to suffer from, the mental health issues that they get to have, the anxiety that they have to deal with because they live in a horrible world. They live in a world where anything can happen. It's weird that we never question the ethics of having children. We think that each and every person that is here should have children. You see? Society expects each and every person to have children. That is why people do not choose to have children. It's expected from them. What's not expected is for people to choose to not have children. That's not expected. Each and every person is expected to choose to have children. It's expected from you to have children the same way that it's expected from an infant to, be able to walk at some point, to be able to talk at some point. Not having children is considered some kind of a handicap. Like, why would you choose not to have children? Like, if you tell people that you're not gonna have a child, they act so surprised. Like, they don't expect a human being to make a conscious decision to not bring a child into this world. It's crazy. It's crazy because there are a lot of people who are ending their lives in this world. There are a lot of people who think that this world is not good enough. There are a lot of people who think that this world is actually horrible. There are people that are not ending their lives, but they are suicidal. There are people, who feel like the challenges that they have to deal with in this world are too much for them. So shouldn't we be questioning the ethics of having children? Shouldn't we be questioning the ethics of having children if we are able to see that there are people in this world who are not enjoying their lives here? It's crazy that there have been so many things that we used to do in the past that we do not do anymore because we reached a point as a collective where we started questioning these things. Like, is it okay for men to treat women this way? Nah, it's not. When I was growing up, men were actually expected to beat their women if their women, were not being too respectful. In fact, men who didn't beat their women were not really respected in our society. Like, what's going on? Like, your woman just did this and you're not gonna beat her. What's wrong with you? It was expected. But we reached a point as a collective where we started questioning that, like, there's something wrong. Even the women themselves, they didn't mind, getting abused. They didn't mind because they felt like if their men did not abuse them, something was wrong with those men. So men had to abuse their women. Women were not supposed to talk back to their men. Women were not supposed to have opinions. Women were not supposed to work. But we reached a point as a collective where we're like, nah, people must be free. But we never questioned the ethics of having children. There's never been a civilization that actually questioned the ethics of having children. Each and every person is expected to have children. That is what's normal. But there are a lot of things that are happening in this world that we're arresting people for. Isn't that a bit ironic though? There are a lot of things that are happening in this world that we're arresting people for. And these things are only happening because we're bringing children into this world. If we did not bring children into this world, these things will not happen. And these things will continue to happen. I want you to understand that. There are things that are happening in this world that we're arresting people for that will never stop happening. They've been happening since the beginning, and they will continue to happen. We'll always have psychopaths in our society. We'll always have, people who don't mind killing other people. We'll always have people who don't mind raping other people. We'll always have people who don't mind stealing from other people. We'll always have people who have to steal from other people. Because people sometimes are too selfish to understand why some people steal, why some people commit crime. Sometimes people commit crime because they have to. They found themselves in a situation where they actually have to commit crime. Sometimes that happens for real. You find that a person is so poor that they don't know what to do. So they decide to go and rob people. And you blame them. We live in a society that actually makes it hard for people to change their lives when they're poor. If you don't have money, it's hard for you to actually start making money, to find a way to start making money. It's so hard. If you do not have money, you probably not have money for the rest of your life. Unless you decide to do something that is illegal. You don't just get to make money. It doesn't work that way. You see, if you do not have money, you are expected to work a shitty job. Society feels like it's right for you to work a shitty job. Society feels like it's right for you to clean toilets. And people believe that we've evolved. What you must realize is that capitalism is doing the same thing that racism was doing to our society. So capitalism is doing the same thing that racism was doing to our society. It's causing division. There are things that I cannot have because I'm broke, right? There are places where I won't be allowed to go because I'm broke. But you want to know what's worse? Children are also affected by this. They cannot attend schools that they want to attend. Let's just say you have a talent of some sort and you want to attend a school where they teach classes related to your talent. But your parents do not have money. They cannot afford the fees. You won't be able to go there. The same way that black people were not allowed to go and attend in some schools, to attend classes in some schools. They weren't accepted in some schools. During apartheid, during segregation in America, people believe that people who have money actually worked to have money. Like, if you don't work hard, I mean, money, money. Every person that has money work for it. You know what I mean? So if you don't have money, it means that you didn't work for it. But what about children? Children who had a good head start didn't have to work for that. They were just born in good families. They were just born in good families. And what you must understand is that having a good head start is going to help you a lot in your life. It matters what you learn when you're young. It really does matter. To expect people who haven't been taught the right things when they were young to make it in the end, that's just wrong. That's why some people end up robbing people. And you blame them, like, oh, how can you do that? How can a person start robbing people? How can these black people start robbing white people? That's what is happening in South Africa sometimes. I was listening to this white lady saying that. Like, what do you expect? What do you expect? I'm not saying it's okay to rob people, but what do you expect? They weren't taught the right things. They were indoctrinated when they were young. You see? Because this education system is not even teaching children the right things. So they got indoctrinated when they were young. They grew older and realized, nah, I actually have to hustle. Now, I'm not saying black people should not take accountability, because I do think that what has happened to us as a race is our fault. I'll make a video about on this. I'll make a video on this. It's actually our fault. What has happened to us as a race. But what I'm trying to show you is that we live in a society that is so horrible that we should actually question the ethics of having children. We should actually ask ourselves, really, should we be bringing people into a world like this? Does it make sense? Does it make sense? The same way that we questioned whether slavery was good. The same way that we questioned if racism was good. Because there isn't a person that's going through something that is not here because they were born. You see? Each and every person that is here because some people did what society expects them to do. They reproduced. They never asked themselves if they will be able to take care of a child, if they will be able to give that child a good head start, if society is actually good. They never ask themselves that question. If this world is actually good, they never ask themselves that question. They never ask themselves if they have enough money. Because you gotta have enough money if you're going to decide. If you're going to be confident enough to decide. In fact, they don't decide to have children. If you're going to be confident enough to do what everyone else is doing, you gotta be confident enough that you'll be able to do it as well as other people are doing it. If you decide to have children, deciding to have children is like, it's not even a decision. It's just I like to say that it's a decision because it doesn't just happen, It doesn't just happen automatically. But people were brainwashed to believe that they must have children. That's why, you know, it's not really a decision. They were brainwashed into believing that they must have children. So having children is like participating in a relay race. It's like participating in a relay race. You gotta make sure that you start off right. If you are if you're gonna be the one that's starting the race, you gotta make sure that you start off right. Because if you don't start off right, that's gonna affect the performance of the people that you're going to hand over the stick to, right? So it's the same thing with having children. You gotta make sure that you have enough money. You gotta make sure that you will be a good parent. And one thing that I know is that many people are not good parents. Many people who have children are not good parents. Not that many people can be good parents. It's not easy to become a good parent. You have to understand how humans think. You've got to study psychology. You know, there have been many children that have been abused because their parents were just too fucking stupid. See, they didn't understand their children because they did not study psychology. See, that's something that a lot of people do not realize. Like, having a child is a big deal. Like, having a child is really a big deal. There are many adults now who are fucked up because they weren't raised right. And we are abusing these adults for having not been raised right. Do you see how fucked up it is to have children? Think about it. There are adults who are doing horrible things, or who are not doing things that we want them to do, or who are doing things that we do not want them to do. Yeah, adults who are doing things that we do not want them to do. And we're punishing these adults for doing these things that we do not want them to do. But they're doing these things that we do not want them to do because they weren't raised right. So you see, they've been victims all their lives because they had parents who weren't intelligent enough to understand them, who weren't intelligent enough to raise them right. So because they weren't raised right, they lived their lives the wrong way. And we're continuing to punish them, to say that they're real victims. Because it matters how you raise your children if you have children. It matters. Because society does not give a fuck. If your child is going to grow up to be a fucking asshole, society is not going to give a fuck. Society is going to hate on that asshole because society hates assholes, I guess. You know, if your child is going to grow up to become a criminal, society is going to have a problem with that child. Society is not going to be like, oh, this person was abused when they were young, so we must understand. No, society doesn't give a fuck. Society doesn't want to understand. Society just wants to blame people. See, we love blaming people for how they are. The same way that we make fun of people for their looks. See, there isn't a person that actually chooses how they're going to look, but people be making fun of how they look, you see? If you are ugly, people are going to make fun of you. You know, that's how we are. So do you understand that if you live in a society that's like that, they're not going to understand how you were raised if you end up not doing things the right way. They're not going to understand. They're going to be like, we get it. Your parents were abusive, we get it. No. Society is not going to understand. Society is expect you to do things the way that they expect you to do things, regardless of how you were raised, regardless of how you were trained. You see? Do you understand how wrong it is to be having children? If the people that are actually having children are not even intelligent enough to raise children right. There are many parents that are blaming their kids for things that they shouldn't even be blaming their kids for. There are a lot of parents that are expecting their kids to go an extra mile because they did not do enough. No, there are parents that expect their kids to work because they didn't do shit with their lives. They just decided to have children. No, your kids shouldn't be working. You should be working. Your kids should be focusing on what they want to do with their lives. They shouldn't be helping you. But that's not the kind of conversation that, people are willing to have. Your kid is not a mini you. That's what you must understand. Your kid is not a mini you. Your kid is different from you. So imagine your kid having to work while other kids are having fun. Imagine that. Other kids are actually enjoying their childhood. Your kid has to work because you're a fucking idiot. You see, sounds wrong. It's crazy that we have the power to create new humans. It's crazy because we're so fucking stupid. I mean, you can't even do anything close to creating another human. That's how stupid you are. But you have the power to have sex and reproduce. You don't even do anything complicated. You just get horny and then go and have sex and then reproduce. So all you have to do as a man is to, be a good provider, I guess. Just be able to take care of yourself. As a woman, you must just look beautiful. That's it. You don't have to do anything complicated. And then you cause something that's very complicated, something that you do not even understand to happen. And then a child comes into this world. Isn't that crazy, though, that we are able to reproduce? Even though we're fucking stupid. I mean, any person can have a child. Even if they are retarded, they can have a child. Like, people that are really retarded, people that we can agree as a collective that, okay, this motherfucker is retarded, they can reproduce and then abuse their children. Because if you're retarded and you're going to have children, what's going to happen? You probably abuse the children because you're not even going to understand them. You see? So shouldn't we be questioning that? Shouldn't we be asking ourselves if that's really good? If it's good that we bring conscious beings into this world, even when we are not even good enough to be able to raise these new beings that we're bringing into this world. Because I haven't met that many people that I'm like, okay, these are great parents, I think 99% of people who are parents are not good parents. 99% of people who have children are not good parents. People don't understand how hard it is to raise a child. Most of y'all weren't raised by people who knew what they were doing. Your parents didn't know what they were doing. They had no idea what they were doing. They've abused you in so many ways. You don't even understand how they've abused you. Some of y'all are not feeling right because of how you were raised. You see, you're going to be depressed your whole life because of how you've been raised. And you don't even realize that how you were raised actually caused you know, the trauma that you have. You don't even realize that. Sometimes something that is not good can happen to you, and you don't even realize that what happened to you is not good. But because you have the ability to feel pain, you're going to feel pain that can, eventually turn into trauma, because you don't even get to, heal that pain. That's something that a lot of people do not understand. Some of y'all have been forced to work when you were young. Some of y'all have been forced to reject aspects of yourself that you loved, because kids are actually being trained to become slaves. Parents are training their kids to become slaves because they themselves are slaves, and they don't even realize that they're slaves. So kids who are special, kids who are different, have to reject aspects of themselves that actually make them kings, so that they will be slaves. So you grow up traumatized. Your parents will tell you, you can chase your dream, but go to school first. Like, I don't want to learn the bullshit that's being taught at school. That's not for me. And your parents will be like, well, you're not going to be able to take care of yourself. Like, motherfucker, why did you bring me here? Did you bring me here so that I'll go and be a slave in order to survive in this bullshit world? You motherfuckers are retarded. Like, I'm serious. Like, we have to question everything, and we have to call things what they are, because that is fucking retarded. If the world is not good enough, the world is not good enough. And we must be honest with ourselves, because what we're doing is fucking stupid and horrible. We're not being honest with ourselves. We're not being intellectually honest enough to realize that what we're doing is actually wrong. And not only is it wrong, it's fucked up on so many levels. If aliens that are more conscious than we are came into this planet and, watched us do the horrible shit that we're doing, we're like, what the fuck is wrong with these creatures? What the fuck is wrong with these creatures? Because clearly something is wrong. I'm a human and I'm able to see that something is wrong. So imagine how aliens would feel. Because the way that we think is so fucking backwards. When you really look at it, you realize that most humans are actually retarded. It's just that because most humans are retarded, we do not even see that most humans are retarded. Do you hear what I'm saying? It's like being retarded is actually how humans should be. They should be retarded, you see? Because how do you realize when someone is retarded? You realize that they're retarded when you are more intelligent than they are. So if society is operating at the same level of intelligence, how are they going to be able to realize that they're fucking retarded? Like, they're doing things that do not make sense. Because even if you don't have the intelligence to do anything special in this world, if you are doing things that make sense, things that you can explain, things that you can justify, I would say you're fucking conscious. That people who comment, I remember someone commented this, I think it was Golden SW. He said, I hate that I'm unable to create anything special. Like, I can't do anything special. And I was like, man, what you must realize is that you weren't taught the right things. If you were taught the right things, you'd be able to create these things that, people like Elon Musk are able to create. But you are very rational, and that shows that you're intelligent. You are very rational. And that's really the highest form of intelligence, is being rational, doing things that make sense. Not doing things that are going to make you suffer in the end, and you did not even realize that you were doing things that were going to make you suffer in the end, or doing things that are going to make other people suffer in the end, and you're not even realizing that you're doing things that are going to make people suffer in the end. You are so rational that you think, you question everything. And even if you didn't have what it takes to create something that's going to help people, or to invent something that's going to help people, it wouldn't mean that you're not intelligent at all. Like, dolphins are intelligent. We say dolphins are intelligent. There are a lot of things that dolphins cannot do, but we can see that they're intelligent because they are rational. That when a person is drowning, they'll be able to see that this person is drowning and they'll save that person. You see, that's being rational. Humans live past homeless people in the street every single day. You can see that that person is fucking suffering. They don't have a fucking home. And they didn't even ask to be born in this world. Just pass the person each and every day. Millionaires, people who have real money, will pass a homeless person. You see, they can change that person's life, but they won't. You see? Isn't that being retarded? If that's not being retarded, tell me what being retarded actually means. You see, that's it. That is being retarded. People reproducing, they can see that a lot of young people are unemployed. See what's happening in South Africa. More than 60% of young people are unemployed. For real. This is not a joke. This is real. Like 90% of young people, 60% of young people are not employed. And even the ones that are employed, like they're enjoying themselves where they work. You see? And the reason why they're not enjoying themselves is because their bosses know that they can replace them at any time. Every person is replaceable now because there are lots of people that are unemployed. So their bosses treat them like shit because they're like, you know what? If you don't want to do what I'm telling you to do, you can fuck off. I'm going to employ another person. I can replace you in a couple of hours. I don't have a problem. So they have to just take it, you see? And motherfuckers be reproducing. What do they expect? Like, what do you expect your children to do? Don't you expect them to steal? Because what can they do? Remember, if your children don't get a good head start, they won't be able to survive in this world by not doing something illegal. It just doesn't work that way. You gotta train your children, well enough for them to be able to thrive in this society. So if you do not train them, what do you expect them to do? They will have to steal in order to survive. They will have to rob people in order to survive. They will have to hijack cars in order to survive because you didn't give them a good head start. So is it their fault? Because they gotta survive. You gotta understand that we're in a fucking jungle. They got to survive. So it's not their fault that they gotta survive because you brought them here. You like, survive. Find a way to make this life work. So they're doing what they can to make their lives work. Because it's wrong on so many levels, for people to actually be poor and actually be like, okay, we're just gonna be poor. What the fuck? That's like a lion being like, my leg is broken, so that means that I'm not gonna hunt. It means that I'm just, I'm just gonna play fair. I'm not gonna try to be strategic. No, what matters is that you survive. That's what matters. It doesn't matter how you survive. It doesn't matter if you're cheating. Remember, the rules that have been created are not even your rules. In my play, you need to find a way to make life work. So people who are doing things that we're against as a society, they're just doing what works for them because our ways do not work for them. You see? And that's our fault. If we believe that some people should not get a good head start, that's our fault. Because if they do not get a good head start, they'll have to figure out what works. So you can't blame them. We're all just trying to survive. There's no reason for someone to just, there's no reason to accept that some people just have to enjoy their lives. They have to have things that everyone wants. And some people should not have anything because of where they're born. They do not have anything because they're not doing what they need to be doing to have things. Now, I'm not saying that you should do illegal things in order to survive in this world. I'm just trying to open your eyes and make you realize that even the people that are doing the worst shit to survive, they're not really wrong. They were just brought into a world that actually required them to do horrible shit in order to survive. So it's the parents that we gotta blame. It's not these people. Because you ain't got to just be poor. Like, you'll be doing something wrong by just being poor and doing nothing with your life. Just because you know following the rules is not gonna help you win. No, you do what works. Hyenas still, right? I think lions have to protect their meat because hyenas be stealing. Because hyenas can't really hunt. Like, I mean, maybe they can, but they don't have the speed. They can't really run, so they have to do what works. You see? Should we blame hyenas? No. Should lions blame hyenas? No. Should nature blame hyenas? No. So really, why blame people who are doing fucked up shit in order to survive? They doing what they can. If we wanna make sure that we do not, if we wanna make sure that we don't have people who are stealing. I mean, maybe we cannot make sure that we do not have people who are stealing. But if we want to at least justify sending people who steal to jail, we gotta make sure that our society is balanced. Everyone is getting a good head start. Life is fair. Life is fair. There isn't a child that is getting a good head start somewhere, and there isn't a child that's not getting a head start at all. The child is just constantly being abused. Because if we are willing to accept that, then we must also be willing to accept that in the end, there will be people who don't mind killing other people. Because that's what makes sense to them. Life has programmed them to become that. Life has programmed them to become martyrs. You know what I mean? I saw this video of some kid who showed up at school. He was in the courtroom and he was talking about his experiences, and I was like, of course what he did was horrible, but was it okay for him to get bullied though? Because getting bullied can fuck up your life for real. Waking up every day, going to school where people are bullying you, like traumatizing you, that's fucked up too. So if kids feel like they can bully other kids, should they complain when these kids, you know what I mean? You know what I wanted to say. So what I'm trying to say is that let's try to do things the right way. Let's try to do things that actually make sense. If we do not want to live in a country where there's a lot of crime, let's make sure that children are raised right. If we choose to have children, which is something that is very stupid to do, like choosing to have children, looking at how the world is today. We must first solve our problems. If we think that having children is the right thing to do, fine, but let's solve the problems that we have. We cannot solve the problems that we have by bringing more children, you see? We cannot solve the problem of unemployment in South Africa by having more children. What we're doing is completely backwards. It's not going to solve the problems that we have. We're actually going to solve the problem of unemployment by reproducing less, so that people will get a good head start. That's how we solve the problem of unemployment. And then if we continue to have children, we actually make sure that there's enough employment for them, not just be reproducing. And that's if, they gotta get employed. But I mean, really, for society to function, we've got to all be contributing. But not as slaves, because that's one of the biggest problems, is that we're expecting some people to be okay with being slaves, be okay with working shitty jobs. No. Everyone must be contributing in a way that is meaningful to them. They shouldn't just be contributing because they're in a trap. Because most people are just working because they're in a trap. They gotta eat. You can't just starve yourself to death. It doesn't work, right? It's just fucking painful. So they gotta eat. When they're starving, they will be in a lot of pain, so they gotta eat, so they go and do things that they do not want to do in order to eat, things that are completely meaningless to them. You see, the problem really isn't suffering. The problem is suffering for something that is meaningless. Because people think that like people who become antinatalists are just against suffering. No, like, you see, there are things that I have chosen to suffer for, in my life. Like, okay, I don't care if I suffer doing this. This is what's meaningful to me. But imagine suffering doing something that is completely meaningless to you. See, that's where the real problem is. Trust me, if even if you feel like you're against suffering, trust me, if there was something that you felt was really meaningful, if there was something that you felt was really worth it, you wouldn't mind suffering for it. So it isn't suffering that people are really against. It's just suffering for reasons that are not good. Suffering because you're a slave. Suffering because someone wants to use you. You see, that's the real problem. So really, shouldn't we be questioning the ethics of having children? Shouldn't we be asking ourselves if it really makes sense that we should be bringing conscious beings into a world like this? I mean, we're conscious enough to question a lot of things. So shouldn't we be questioning that? Instead of just expecting each and every person to have children. God said we must be fruitful and multiply. Like, he didn't say that. Don't you understand that believing that makes you retarded? You'd rather believe that he might have said that, but it's people who told you that he said that. He didn't say it. He didn't come to you and be like, yo, man, be fruitful and multiply. He didn't do that. So what makes you believe that he said that? It's just what another person wrote. It's like if Abraham Hicks decided to start a religion. She claims that she's channeling entities called Abraham. Like this, and it's many entities, but they're called Abraham. She believes that she's channeling these entities. So imagine if she wrote her own Bible and said, "Oh, these entities are saying we must do this, we must do that." You know what I mean? And people actually started believing that. Oh, these entities, you know what I mean? That would be fucked up, right? That wouldn't make sense. How do we prove that she's actually talking to some entities? And how do we actually believe, or not talking to, I mean channeling. She claims that she's channeling these entities. But how do we believe that these entities have good intentions? You see? There are many questions that we must ask ourselves. Is she really channeling some entities? And do these entities have good intentions? Are they not lying to us? Are they not manipulating us? So you see, believing that the Bible is the word of God is a sign of being stupid. Even if it was the word of God, by the way. Listen, even if it was true that the Bible was really the word of God, for real, you wouldn't be believing that it is the word of God because you're intelligent. You'd be believing that it's the word of God because you're stupid. You would have just been lucky to actually believe in the right religion. It won't be because you're intelligent. You were born in the right religion and you started believing it. You know what I mean? It seems to me that to believe in a religion, you must actually be stupid. You must not be questioning anything, because you must be questioning everything when you think about it. This is a crazy world. You gotta be questioning everything. People lie, bro. People want to make money. People want to become powerful. They don't give a fuck about other people. They don't give a fuck about if you live in a country where there's still homeless people, then you can't be trusting anyone, because it shows you that people do not give a fuck about one another. So why would you trust them? People are full of shit. People lie. Trust me. People will take advantage of you if you don't open your eyes. People are fucking manipulative. You gotta open your eyes and try to be as rational as possible. Do things that make sense. Don't do things that you're going to be embarrassed about in the end. Like, but why do I do that? I was so angry and I did that. I'm ashamed of myself. No, always be rational. I don't give a fuck how angry you are. I don't give a fuck what kind of emotions you're feeling. Be fucking rational. Ask yourself, am I being rational? When you're in a relationship and your partner is asking you to do something, ask yourself, really, should I be doing this? You gotta think. Don't just be like, I'm horny right now, so let me do this shit. No. Ask yourself if you gotta be doing what they're asking you to do. Ask yourself, always ask yourself the right questions. That's how you win. That's how you beat the game. Because you are a slave. This body wants you to do some fucked up shit, but you're conscious. So you have to ask yourself, is it best for me to do this shit that my body is asking me to do? Or I should think and be rational. I shouldn't be doing what society expects me to do, because society is full of weak people. It's full of people who are controlled by their emotions. People who are not rational. People who cannot think for themselves. People who are not even able to think in a way that is actually right for them. Trust me, the reason why we have lots of people who are poor and complaining is because society is full of idiots. That's why. Because if it wasn't full of idiots, we wouldn't be having these people. Because they would have done the right things. Like what you're doing as an internationalist, if you've decided that, okay, I'm not going to bring people into this world, you're doing the right thing. You think. You've realized that, no, this world, no. This world is just not it. I'm not going to choose to bring another sentient being into this world. I know what I saw. My eyes were open the whole time. So it would be completely irrational for me to decide now, even though it's not really a decision, to bring children into this world. For an internationalist, it would actually be a decision. Because you would have already decided not to have children, that you're not going to have children. And then, so if you had children, it would be a decision, unless, if you got conquered by your body, because that can happen, right? You have sex without protection. It can happen. You find yourself in a situation where you don't have protection and you're with this attractive woman that you always wanted to fuck. So you're like, let me just take risk. And then the next thing, she gets pregnant. And she says, no, I'm not aborting. What are you going to do? She says, no, I'm not aborting. So you're going to end up being a father, you see? Things do happen. That's why it's best for internationalists to get a vasectomy. Because anything can happen, we live... Look, this world is unpredictable, and nature is smart. That's why sex is so enjoyable, because nature is smart. It can trick you. Even if you're intelligent, nature can trick you. Even if you're like an internationalist, like for real. Even if to you antinatalism is a religion, nature can trick you. It can. Trust me, it can. So be smart. Be rational. Always fight to do things that actually make the most sense. That's how you win. That's how you beat this fucking game. That's how you beat the Matrix. Isn't it great to just know that you didn't bring a sentient being into this world? And if you brought a sentient being into this world, then it would be great to talk to them about this world. Like, hey man, I made a fucking mistake. I don't think you should be having children. This world is fucked up. Try to have a conversation with them. Doesn't mean that you must just give up. Like, okay, I brought children to this world. No, have conversation with them. Yeah, you shouldn't It shouldn't continue the cycle. I made a mistake, but now I've realized that okay, this was fucked up. I used to be like you. I used to be just like you, but I became more conscious. And now I realized that now having children is actually wrong. Is it? So you talk to your children. But yeah, man, knowing that you did not subject anyone to this, man, it's just liberating, Even when you're suffering, you're like, it's not my fault, It's not my fault. Like, okay, I'm making the right decisions. I'm doing the best that I can. There isn't much to regret, There isn't much to regret. So that's beautiful. If you're in a prison, you gotta be fighting to escape. You don't just do things that are gonna keep you in that prison forever. No, you fight to escape. Figure out how to escape. Because it's not worth it to live in prison. Because this is a prison for real. You can see how we're living. We don't even have rights. Rights. They just decided that, okay, we're gonna grant people this right. No, these people shouldn't have this right. They just decide. I mean, some countries have legalized euthanasia, right? Like Belgium, right? Not really sure. I'm not really sure if I've even done my research on this, but I think they've legalized. I'm not even sure if Belgium is a country. I'm not sure if it's not a state. Because, sometimes I don't pay attention to some things, man. Like, I pay attention to things that are important to me, knowing that some things are not really important. But, yeah, Belgium is legalized. I think it has legalized assisted suicide and euthanasia. Canada, I think, is legalizing they're gonna legalize medical assisted suicide in dying, which is beautiful. I think Netherlands. In fact, I don't know. But here's the truth. The truth is that there are some countries that have legalized some things that are not illegal in other countries. Why is that? In South Africa, weed is legal. But in some countries, it isn't. Why? Why isn't it legal in other countries? Remember, all of us are the same. We're humans. We want the same things. There are people in other countries where weed is illegal that want to smoke weed freely. Because just because weed is illegal doesn't mean that they're not smoking weed. They just can't smoke it freely, because you can get arrested. I remember before they legalized weed in South Africa, I had a conversation with my dad. I was like, it's stupid that they have not legalized weed. My dad was like, why? Like, look, there are doctors that are smart that know why weed shouldn't be legal. Like, Dad, come on. So he believes that people are good. Like, my dad believes that people are good. They have good intentions. So if they say that something shouldn't be legal, they know that it shouldn't be legal. It's like, Dad, come on. Like, alcohol is legal. How many people have died because of weed? I mean, there are people who have died because of weed because it is illegal, not because weed itself is bad. Because it is illegal, so they have to do illegal things. And if you're doing something that is legal, you can get killed. It can happen, or you can kill people. You know what I mean? But alcohol, lots of people are dying because of alcohol. 4 of the people that I know died a week ago because of alcohol. 4, like young people, died in a horrible car accident because of alcohol. Like, some dude was drunk. He hit their car. I think they were drinking as well. Like, it happened in the morning, so they were coming from this other resort. I don't know. I can't really be sure if they were drunk. But a guy that was drunk hit their car. In fact, 5 people died, not 4 people, including that guy that hit the car. People who know what happened, they say that he was so drunk that people even warned him, like, yo, you shouldn't be driving. Lots of fucked up shit has happened in this world because of alcohol. We know that. But how many fucked up things do we know have happened because of weed? I don't like. There isn't anything that I can think of that actually happened because of weed. There isn't. I'm not saying there isn't fucked up things that have happened because of weed. I'm saying there isn't anything that I know that has happened because of weed, and that shows you that it isn't like that bad. So shouldn't countries make it legal and allow people to be free enough to be themselves and do what they want rather than controlling them? I know that some of you are against smoking, but you gotta be conscious enough to realize that people are different. You see? People are different. Don't One of the biggest mistakes that you can make is believing that other people must be like you. They must live their lives the way that you live your life. If you do not drink, cool. But you mustn't be against people who drink. Let them cope with this life the way that they cope with this life. You're also coping with this life the way that you're coping with it. Doesn't mean that you're better than them. You see? You gotta be that conscious. It matters that you are that conscious, especially if you're an internationalist. I believe that internationalists are very intelligent. I believe that the internationalists are very intelligent. They're intelligent because, like I was telling you, that we grew up in a society that actually expects each and every person to have a child. So you realizing that, listen, you've been getting brainwashed since you were young to have children. Each and every person has been getting brainwashed to have children since they were young. So you being able to realize, that's wrong. That's a sign of intelligence. That shows that you can think for yourself. You can think independently. You see, that's beautiful. You got to be able to think for yourself, not allow other people to control you, not allow other people to tell you what you think. You're not a robot. You have consciousness. You are able to see if something is not right. You are able to see if something is not going to help you. So, if you are conscious enough to actually realize that having children is wrong, even though the whole society is saying that that is right, even though the whole society is praising people for reproducing. When people have children, be like, yo, congratulations. No one is gonna meet a person that doesn't have a child and be like, congratulations. Now I'm congratulating you for not having children. I'm the only person that has congratulated you for not having children. But yeah, society is so fucked up that they will congratulate people who are not even going to be good parents for having children. Like, oh, congratulations. Congratulating them for what? For giving their children trauma? People that are poor, really poor, be having children and they be getting praises from society. You see, something is wrong. So you being able to wake up and realize that this what these people are doing does not make sense. It shows me that something is wrong with people. You grew up thinking that people were rational. Growing up. I mean, unless you've been woke the whole time. But most of us grew up thinking that people are rational. Most of us grew up believing that our teachers knew what they were doing, our parents knew what they were doing. It's only when we became adults and they were like, what the fuck? These people don't know what the heck they're doing. I'm an adult and I don't know shit. I'm an adult and I do not know shit. I'm an adult and I'm realizing that there have been so many things that I was right about when I was growing up that adults told me that, were wrong. There have been so many things that I was right about growing up. But adults would be like, nah. Most adults don't know. what they're doing. So you actually realizing that no, actually it makes more sense for me to not have children than, to have children. Even though society is not gonna understand why I've decided not to have children. I've decided not to have children because that's what makes the most sense. Thank you, guys.